Okay, my name is Billy Williams. I'm making this video so that I can inform people and let people know what is going on and what is happened in my life. It's very, very important. It's important to the United States. It's important to all the citizens. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible because I hate it when videos drag on and don't get to the point. So, my name is Billy Williams. Have been under surveillance for quite some time. I believe that it is possibly the task force, possibly the DEA, possibly it's definitely government officials. It could be the FBI, the CIA, the NSA. I don't know, but I can tell you this much. This is factual information. There are now technologies out there that they have the capability of reading your brain print. Your brain is broadcasting a signal at all times, and they have the capability of picking up on your brain print and matching it to your thumbprint. It's just like tuning a tuner on a radio, and they can tune it in to your head. Once they tune it into your head, they've got you locked in, and they can use a program that is known as it's the same thing that Stephen Hawking uses, and he thinks thoughts. It prints them up on a screen. It's a predictive text, and then it talks for him. This is old. This is not something that's brand new. This is pretty old, but they can now dial it into your head and listen and read every thought that you have, just like reading a book. When you're in an alpha state and you're reading a book and reading the sentences, that's exactly what they see popping up on their screen. This is the most wrong thing that could ever be done, and this is a crime against humanity. It is not only highly illegal in the United States, it should be, but it is playing God, and what they're doing to people is the most wrong thing that you could ever imagine. They have tortured me for about 6 to 3.5 years. It originally started by stealing my hard drive for my business, then by stealing my telephone number and cutting out all of my business calls. It's been done for so long. I've put a gun to my head numerous times. I have wanted to commit suicide because they have driven me to the point of absolute madness. It was originally done, I believe, because of false accusations saying that I was doing drugs with my kids, which I have never done drugs with my kids. I have 2 children. They both have 2 best friends, 3 girls, 3 boys. They stay at my house. We talk every day. I've had a very good relationship with my children. My children finally believe me. My family finally believes me. Most of my friends believe me. The thing is what was done is they made accusations that I was doing drugs with my children. I don't know for sure if how they managed to make people believe it, but I'm not going to say that I haven't done drugs, because I have done drugs. I am an ex-addict. I've been sober now for well, on and off, but I've been sober for almost 6 months. The thing is that this is so incredibly important because local and state and local government officials have this technology. They're using it against the people, against people that they don't like. I happen to be one of them. I know that this is going on. When I went to court, I didn't get any. My lawyer didn't even get to defend me. I didn't get to defend myself. None of my children were able to speak, as well as the 2 friends that I brought in, who happened to be more or less my boss slash best friend and his secretary. We were unable to speak. We got shut down. There was a judgment made against me for child support, which is not correct. It's not correct at all. I've always been part of my children's lives. I've done everything I can. We share them. We split custody with them from Sunday to Sunday. I kept them, and then when my daughter, at 16 years old, moved in with her mother, my son moved in with me permanently. Anyways, the long story short, they threaten me every day. They tell me that they're going to kill me if I don't stop telling people. They tell me that it first started as just really mean, torturous, horrible things that they were saying, and the worst part about it is they started torturing my girlfriend. I've dated about 4 or 5 different women since I've been single for about 6 years now. All of them basically dumped me without even a word of saying why. They wouldn't tell me. They won't even speak to me. Now my new girlfriend, who happens to be the most amazing woman I've ever met, this has been done to her, and that's why she knows what's going on. She has been tortured herself. It starts basically what they can do is they dial into your thumbprint and they can send a microwave or a low frequency noise, and they can basically implant words into your head, and they torture me. They tell me that they're going to kill me every day. They tell me that if I don't shut the fuck up, they're going to kill me. They tortured. This is the part where it gets it's unacceptable. Okay, I as a man can deal with these things because fortunately I've now let it sink in, and I don't let it bother me like it used to bother me. I know now that these people are just uneducated, very bad, very horrible people who have no spiritual, moral or social values whatsoever. They tried to frame me. They tried to destroy my life, and they did a very good job of it. Fortunately for me, I am a very headstrong, very spiritual, very social and moral person, which they don't think that I am because I use drugs. They think that that made me a bad person. I'm not a bad person. I'm a very good person. People don't use drugs because they're bad people or good people. They use drugs to escape from their reality of what's going on because the pressures of everyday society, and when you're being tortured like this, it makes it 10 times worse. I choose to be sober now because I know that nobody would believe me if I'm not, because it sounds like I'm crazy. And if anybody else told me this, I would tell them to lay off the drugs because there's obviously they've got some mental problems. They must be schizophrenic or something to that effect. My girlfriend and I both have gone into a suicide watch, suicide prevention, because of what has happened to us. We both went to the same one in Kerrville. People think that we're crazy when we tell them this. Fortunately, we have a lot of good people, moral people, spiritual people that believe that what we're saying. This is all factual information. Edward Snowden leaked it out. They have patents on these types of technologies. They are using them against the public. It is domestic terrorism at its finest. And if they don't like you, they will shut you down. They will control your life, and they will control the people around you because they can implant thoughts into their heads. And I'm not lying about this. I know how crazy this sounds, but this is the beginning of a moral, spiritual, and social war that is against a very corrupt government. And just because they are in positions of power and they have authority, they think that they can use this and use it against the citizens to control them to do what they want. This all started with when I was using drugs. It started with implants of hearing my ex-wife's voice in my head saying, "Billy, go to rehab, go to rehab, go to rehab," over and over and over. Instead of going to rehab, I fortunately was able to just quit on my own. But the thing is that what they're doing is they are brainwashing and controlling us as a population, and it is a known fact. And the worst thing about it is that they have tricked most of the civilians into thinking that this is okay. This is not okay. They are playing God, and it is socially, morally, and spiritually unacceptable. They don't get to control us as a population. That's not what they're supposed to do. That inhibits our growth. It inhibits our forward progress in every way and in every level. The things that they've told me, I had a very close woman pass away, very, very, very close person that I love dearly, and they told me that they blew her head off with a shotgun. She did commit suicide. I don't believe that they killed her, but that question is always in my mind, and it runs through my brain constantly. They told me that they spit in her baby's face on the way out. They told me that my children are fat and lazy. They told me that my mom is a fat bitch. They've told me any thought that I think that they get a hold of, they twist it around and they torture me over it. This has been going on for so long that I've made numerous videos. I've never posted any of them because I get very emotional whenever I talk about it, because it's a very difficult thing to deal with. I don't know. My family is so sick and tired of hearing about it because I tell them about it, because I tell them whenever they're talking to me and they're telling me things, and I have to share it because it is my way of therapy to get it out. It helps me to talk about it. It helps me to tell people about it because then it puts me back on a ground level where I know I'm not insane, I'm not crazy, and I know that my family and my friends do believe me. It's so difficult to prove. It's almost impossible to prove. It's been on numerous news stations about people hearing voices in their head that are not schizophrenic. Schizophrenia starts about 26, 27 years old typically. I am not schizophrenic. I used drugs for 15 to 20 years of my young life, and I never heard voices. I never heard any voices. When I quit using cocaine, I did go through psychosis, and I know what that's like when I used it again. A year later, I used cocaine again, and I realized right away, holy cow, psychosis is a serious thing. It's a very scary thing, and I know the difference between psychosis and I know the difference between what's going on with me on a daily basis. If you look it up online, you will find that there are waves and electromagnetic fields that come off of any 60 hertz motor or anything with a copper winding, and they are able to bounce them off of these electromagnetic waves, and you can hear it. I hear it through the refrigerator motor. I hear it through any fan motor, any air conditioner motor, anything with a copper or electrical winding. I can hear it. I can hear it in my vehicle. There are different ways that they do it. They use a neurophone, which is a very common device now. They use this is the law enforcement that is using this against me. They have broken the law. They have committed felonies. My using drugs in my own bedroom, in the privacy of my own house, and in quite literally in my bedroom only, is why they did this. Because I pissed them off, because they did want to get custody of my children. They wanted me to suffer because they say that I owe them money, and I don't owe them any money. Period. End of story. What is being done is wrong. And it's even more wrong when it comes down to what's happened with my girlfriend. She is being sexually assaulted day in and day out at my house. They tell her things that I couldn't imagine saying to anybody, sexually assaulting her because she's with me. And that is truly the most horrific thing that could ever happen. I can't begin to explain to you how blessed I am to have her in my life, because she knows that it's going on. She believes me, and just now that she's experienced it, she is suffering from it on a day-to-day basis. And fortunately for me, she must love me enough to stick around, because I don't know how anybody would want to stay with somebody that's going through this and then starts being tortured themselves. I love her dearly. I don't even know what to say. I don't know how my life could possibly have been blessed so much to have her in my life, and I'm very thankful for her, because at least we can talk about it with each other. And so when they're torturing us, we can laugh about it and talk to each other and say, you know what they're telling me, because the things that they say are horrific. Sexually assaulting a woman, telling them that they're going to cut their head off, and the things that they say to her are just absolutely horrible. One of the main reasons I'm putting this out there is for public knowledge, to know that this can happen to you if you get on the wrong side of a government official that doesn't like you. My ex-wife, this started with my ex-wife and her husband. Her husband's military. He, I believe, is maybe on the task force, or they have friends that are on the task force. I'm a very good father. I've always been a very good father. My kids love me dearly. And it's unfortunate for my children that they don't have their mother and their stepfather in their life very much because of what's been done. Because my children do believe me. They know what's going on. I tell them every day. They're so sick of hearing it. And the worst thing about it is that they're sick of hearing it. But let me tell you how bad I feel. I get it nonstop every day in cycles. It's like I believe that it could be the Attorney General's office, but there is a group of people in that are all looking at a computer screen, watching me and monitoring me and watching everything that I do, everything I'm telling you right now. There is a group of people that know that it's wrong, and I have a good voice, a woman's voice, who says, Billy, get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. You have to prove that this is going on. There is also another couple bad voices that continue to tell me if I say anything to anybody and if I keep telling people that they're going to kill me. And I don't care. I'm past the point of caring because I truly love my children so much that I can't pull that trigger. But let me tell you something. I'm not scared if anybody else does because I know that this will go public. I know that people will know what's happening and it will come out. And it needs to come out because this is very serious. This is the most important thing. They are violating our civil rights as human beings on living on this planet, invading our privacy and invading our minds and socially playing social puppeteer with people's lives. They do this, and I know they do this, and this is not a joke. This is something that needs to be addressed. It's happening all across the nation. There's over 300,000 people that I know of that I've seen on Facebook. I mean, not on Facebook, but on social media, on people talking about it. There are groups now being joined. There's people fighting for this. There are government officials and governors that are blowing the whistle on this. There are doctors that are blowing the whistle on this. There are neurologists that can prove it. Your brain, whenever you start hearing these things, your brain starts overworking because when I can't function anymore at work, it's so hard for me to concentrate because I have them continuously going in my ears. And if this is what I found out about psychological warfare. Once they start doing this to you and they continually do it, it doesn't stop. You hear them repeating the same thing over in your head, and it creates a mental block to where you can't focus on anything because every time I start to focus, I hear them and I honestly break down and start crying. My son has seen me cry at numerous job sites, at least 10 different job sites for the church that I've done, job sites for my friends, for my family, and they horrendously torture me. I've fallen to my knees and begged them to stop. I've prayed to God every day. I do everything that I can in my power to make sure that I can keep my composure. There's so many times where I'm talking to customers and dealing with people, and I have to turn around because my eyes start to well up and I start to cry because I cannot deal with this kind of torture. It is definitely a crime against humanity. It's the worst thing that could ever happen to anybody, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I wouldn't even wish it on the people that are doing this. I pray every day that they will understand how horrible it is and that somebody will help me. I need a lawyer. That's one of the reasons I'm making this video. I need a lawyer really bad. I've gotten all the information compiled into a notebook. I've gotten all of the, they use a device called a Stingray device, which reroutes your phone calls and reroutes all of your information, your data, your texts, everything. They get it all before I get it. My girlfriend's phone and my phone, when we send texts back and forth, they don't come through. I won't get her text, she won't get my text. And they will come in different orders, and they will only be selective texts that come through. This is a fact going on. I've got evidence of it on my phone and on her phone. And meanwhile, they torture me. Every time that she leaves the house or goes to do something, they'll tell me, she's fucking somebody else, she's doing this. And they do the same thing with her. They tell her that this is one of the things that they first started with. They tell us that we masturbate more than anybody in the world. That they said that to me repeatedly for a long time and messed with me and just tried to break me down. Then they started doing the same thing with her. There are phrases that are exactly the same that they say to her that they said to me. And when we first got together and we started talking about it, we started realizing that all of these phrases are the same thing. I believe that this is some type of government program or some type of I believe that the private investigator that's involved with this, that got this started, who knows my ex-wife and her husband, happens to be somebody of importance in my girlfriend's life. And I believe that it was done to her to keep me away from her and to destroy my life because I humiliated some of these people Um, I started purposely smoking an empty meth pipe in my room to see if they were watching me, and I started flipping them off while I was doing so. And in doing so, I was trying to gather information and prove what was going on, because they can see me with a thermal vision camera, but they couldn't see me at that point in time, see what I was doing. So they assumed that I was doing drugs and decided to start torturing me and torturing me and torturing me. I had been using drugs, and then I stopped. And when I stopped, I purposely started hitting the empty pipe to find out, because all they can see and pick up is a thermal vision. And so they don't know if I'm doing drugs or not. They just assume that that's what I'm doing. And that's where it started getting really, really bad. Then they started telling me, "You stupid motherfucker, you stupid asshole, why would you do that?" And the thing is that when I did that, I mean, I can hear more than one person's voice. There is definitely I believe that there is a app that they can put on their phone. They can read your thoughts. They can watch you. They can see everything that you do, and they can listen, read your thoughts, and then they can talk into the microphone and talk directly to your head and torture you. And I mean, this is the most sick, most mind-blowing. Never in a million years would I have ever thought that this technology could exist. And let me tell you, it does exist. They are using it against people, and it needs to be stopped. I'm going to call it quits for this video. I said it's about as much as I could. There's a lot of important details that have gone on over the last 6 years that are very, very important details. I'm going to save those and make another video at another time. But my main reason for posting this is I'm asking people for help to come forward, and to anybody who has had this done to them, we need to gather in groups, we need to get lawyers, and we need to prove that this is happening. I want the public to know that this is happening, because otherwise we all just look like we're crazy people, and they get to continue breaking the law, violating the Constitution, violating our civil rights as human beings, and in doing so, the implications of this are massive. What they can do to people is wrong. They are playing God, and they cannot get by with it. I believe that this is 100% has to do with the coming of age of this technology, and I believe that it is. I believe that it's prophesized. I used to be a very. I've always been a very spiritual person, but I used to be a. All religions basically say the same thing, and it all talks about love, putting goodness out there, helping people, and that's what life is about. It's about our relationships. We don't take any money with us. We don't take anything with us but when we die. But all of our relationships, our friendships, and the things that happen to us, that it is the process of learning throughout this life. And we are very lucky to be here. I'm very lucky to have the friends and the family that I do. Without them, I don't know that I'd be here. I thank God every day for everybody that's been involved in my life and all the friends that I do have. A lot of them have now somewhat turned against me because they don't understand what has happened. And some of them don't believe me. It's too hard it's taken me years and years of convincing my family and my friends of what's going on. And the only reason that they do believe me is because the things that these people are saying, they're not smart enough to understand that they have put themselves in a very vulnerable position because of the things that they said. Now, if they had just been real simple to the point and not asked me for the $16,000 over and over again, saying, "You owe me $16,000, motherfucker, you better get up and go to work." If they hadn't been saying these things and they had been subtle about it, I would think that it's God talking to me. But I know better, because I know God is all loving. He would never do this, this universe is all loving. This universe is based on, it is a scientific, it's scientific to the point where you get what you put out there. And if you put love out there and positive influence and you help people, you get it back tenfold. I am living testimony to that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I know that I'm a good person. Because I did drugs does not make me a bad man. Okay, there are people who are bad, who do drugs, But it does not mean that all drug users are bad people. That means that we are hurt. We're trying to move on with our lives. And fortunately for me, that is one thing that I have learned about this entire thing, which I would say is the best thing about this. The worst thing about this is I'm continued to be tortured. My girlfriend's continuing to be tortured. There are other people out there who are continuing to be tortured. It is very real. It has got to be stopped. Somebody has to do something about it, because not only can they influence us and play social puppeteer with us, but most people wouldn't know the difference, because it took me a long time to start realizing that these thoughts that I'm having and these voices that I'm having are truly being done from somebody else, and they are changing what I do on a day-to-day basis. They are changing what other people do on a day-to-day basis, and that means that they are playing God, and it is wrong, it's unlawful, it's socially and morally unacceptable, and these people have got to be stopped. Something needs to be done. Our government and the government officials that are using this and abusing this technology need to be stopped. They are very sick. They need to go to rehab themselves, and I'm very serious about this. I'm asking for everyone's help, because we need groups of lawyers that will band together and will do something about this, because it is going to only go downhill from here. There's no other way to go but down. And if we don't stop it, then America, as being the great country that we are, is going to cease to be a good country, because it has been overrun by corruptness, evil, and immoral people that need to be stopped. Anyways, I'll put out another video soon. Hopefully you guys can help me and point me in the right direction with this. I love all y'all. I hope that we can do something about this, not just for my sake, but for my girlfriend's sake, and mainly, most importantly, for my children's sake, because they are our future. And right now, they are being taught that it is okay to do these kinds of things, and I want to make sure that our children have moral, social, and spiritual values in them, because it is that important. It is our future. It is everything that we stand for as a human race. We are all together. We should all stand together as one, and we should fight for each other, because that's what's truly important. Okay? This evilness on hurting people has got to stop. It's got to be put to an end, and we need to be helping each other and not trying to drag one another down. That negative only breeds negative, and the positive forward movement will breed positive forward movement. Otherwise, we're going to stay stagnant. We're going to be a horrible nation that doesn't care about anybody, and we're all just going to be a bunch of slaves. And I refuse. I flat out refuse to be a slave to this nation, which we were born free in, and we were raised to think that we're free, singing the Pledge of Allegiance, and God having our spiritual freedom in America to believe what you want to believe is your God-given right. That's what this country was founded upon. That's what it needs to stay. We are being manipulated, and the wool has been pulled over our eyes, and I mean that with. I never thought that I would advocate against this kind of stuff, because I am so politically. I believe that there's so many lies out there that I don't know what to believe and don't know. But now that it's invaded my life and it's taken me over, and it's affecting my children's lives, my parents' lives, my family's lives, my friends' lives, and it's only going to get worse if we don't do something about it. So please share this video, and please get in touch with me. My name is Billy Williams. You can reach me at billyironwood@icloud.com. When I have access to that email, most of the time I do now, but I have a list of 10 different emails that have been taken from me, that have been hacked into. My Facebook's been hacked into, my YouTube, my Gmail accounts, my Google Plus accounts, every account, my LinkedIn account, every account that I have has been hacked into. I can no longer access most of them. It is terrorism, domestic terrorism at its finest, and it's got to be stopped. Y'all have a good day. Love all you. I'll talk to you soon.